The Florida Gators 2026 recruiting class just got that much better. Carsyn Baker, you are a Florida Gator.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. As always, I am Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all of my written work with New York Giants on SI. And the Florida Gators landed another commitment, this time from running back Carsyn Baker. And we'll talk about the ranking in a second, but Carsyn Baker is someone who, from his first official visit, on May, it was about a month ago, right? His official visit was, May 16th was his official visit. And pretty much since then, it's felt like it's Florida, right? And which is also noteworthy because I do feel like there were a lot of people who, prior to that official visit, felt like Florida was way behind. And you can go back to that episode, which I think came out on May 16th. But you can go back to that, and I spoke about it. It's not hard for Florida to make a lot of progress with a running back. It's real easy to sell running backs with Florida because you can prove that, hey, we've gotten true freshmen the ball plenty of times, so you have early playing time opportunities. You can show, hey, we're going to run the ball. Billy Napier's teams have always run the ball and always run the ball pretty successfully, and so you could bring that one up as well. And it's just another easy selling point with Carsyn Baker there. Playing time is available early. If you're a good running back, which Carsyn Baker is obviously a good running back, you've got playing time there. And also that's another thing where I'm excited to do the scouting report episode that Carsyn Baker is in, just because this is a Jabbar Jalook running back. And Jabbar Jalook, I don't care. I know that there's people who say, oh, well, you don't get the 5-star running backs. You don't get the elite of the elite ranking running backs. One big notice, I could not give less of a damn about the ranking for any player. From these services, but also especially when we're talking about Jabbar Jalook. And I will continue to bring up the big selling point for Jabbar Jalook for me is that at Louisiana, he had 3 running backs at the same time that ended up being NFL running backs, and they were all playing at Louisiana. Like we've gone back and we've talked about, I think that there have been a lot of posts about Georgia's running back room in the early 2010s. It's like Todd Gurley, Sonny Michel, all these guys. And you look back and it's like, yeah, well, 2 of them played. One of them was a true freshman. So it's not as impressive. Not with Louisiana, right? That's the big selling point for me of Jabbar Jalook is that he had 3 running backs all at the same time in Elijah Mitchell, Raymond Calais, and Trey Ragas. All were getting genuine playing time with Louisiana, all went on to the NFL. And to be able to do that at Louisiana when there are really no other schools that can say that in Power 4 or Group of 5 is insane. And Carsyn Baker is a running back that running back coach likes. And so I think he's a running back that I'm going to like. Usually pretty good indicator of vision, breakaway speed, quick burst, run after contact balance. That seems to be Jabbar Jalook's bread and butter. And Carsyn Baker can fit that. Carsyn Baker is a 4-star on the consensus. He is on 3. He is a 4th star. He is a 4-star on 3. He's the 135th player nationally, the 10th running back in the class, and the 15th player from the state of Georgia. On ESPN, on 24/7, he is unranked nationally. He is a 3-star. That's the only service that has him as a 3-star. He is unranked nationally, the 21st running back in the country, and the 34th ranked player in the state of Georgia. On ESPN, he is a 4-star. He is the 167th player nationally, 17th ranked running back, and 20th ranked player in the state of Georgia. And on Rivals, he is a 4-star as well, 202nd player nationally, 8th ranked running back, which is so interesting. 30th player in the state of Georgia. But that is very interesting that he is 35 compared to ESPN and Rivals. On Rivals, he is 35 spots behind his ESPN ranking. ESPN has him as the 167th player, and Rivals has him as a 202nd player. But ESPN has him as the 17th running back, and Rivals has him as the 8th running back. Which means that even though he's 35 spots lower on Rivals, he is 9 spots higher in his position. And that's crazy to me, because that just means that there are a lot of lower ranked running backs on Rivals compared to ESPN. Which is just, there's not really anything to take from that. It's just the fact of the matter that I think is very interesting here. But Carsyn Baker is a hell of a running back. Florida lands the commitment again after what felt like a month ago. They were on the outside looking in, and they just made significant progress in such a short amount of time with Carsyn Baker. Adding him, I don't know if he's going to be, I know that you could sell early playing time because you could say, hey, we've had true freshmen play running back and contribute significantly here for Florida. I don't know how much he's going to play early on, but he's, again, Carsyn Baker, if you don't remember, was the running back that I was talking about when I said that Florida's recruiting a running back that has Aiden Mizell speed, runs the same 100-meter time as Aiden Mizell. But this time it's out of the backfield. That's huge. That is insane speed to bring to the table. Carsyn Baker does bring it to the table for the Florida Gators. We are going to talk more about Carsyn Baker, more about this 2026 recruiting class when we get back with Locked On Gators. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. New to FanDuel? It's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. And if that bet wins, you will get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. And Carsyn Baker joining the class, like I've said, is big. I think he's going to be a hell of a football player. I think he's going to climb those rankings. Again, I don't care about the rankings, but I understand that there are people who do care about the rankings. And also, even if you don't care about the rankings, it's just interesting to note where the recruiting sites were right and were wrong. Which, by the way, I will also say this. I don't know when we're going to get it done. But if you're part of the Locked On Gators Insider program, then you've been seeing the written scouting reports. If you're just an everydayer, then you have been seeing the scouting reports that every time Florida gets 3 commits, we do an episode with the scouting reports. So we will have one next week. Don't know which day, but we will have one next week with the Florida Gators 2026 additions to the class. But I'm excited to get through all of Carsyn Baker's. It's going to be really fun. And we will, at some point, I will be having my rankings of just the commits. I'm not doing, all the kids that Florida's not targeting. That's a waste of time. But we will be doing I will be giving my ranking of the players. But back to Carsyn Baker and this 2026 recruiting class. He is the start of a huge weekend. Okay. This is going to be a big weekend for the Florida Gators. I think there's going to be minimum 3 commits coming out of this weekend for the 2026 class. And I mean that by Sunday night, there will be at least 3 commits in this class from this weekend, including Carsyn Baker. And look, some of them feel obvious, right? I think there are quite a few kids on campus this weekend that people are like, yeah, well, Florida is way in the lead there. And going into the weekend, Carsyn Baker and Jalen McCoy were the two big names, right? They were the two big names that were unofficials. And that felt big considering Carsyn Baker took his official visit to Florida last month. Jalen McCoy took it a couple weeks ago. And for them to take these unofficial visits feels like a huge indicator of what's to come, right? And for Carsyn Baker especially, it was very noteworthy that, well, took his official visit to Florida a month ago, took an official visit to Florida State last week, seemed like he had a good time, which makes sense because based on the pictures that came from it and everything, it seems like they just tried to copy Florida's flow there. So not surprising that, yeah, he likes what you did if you do what the first school did very well. So not surprising there. But to take that official visit and then say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take another visit to Florida, this time an unofficial, feels like a pretty good indicator of how you're feeling about things. And we've been expecting, a Carsyn Baker commitment. We were told mid-late June. We're at mid-June. I feel like that's close enough to mid-late June, right? And so Carsyn Baker joining this Florida Gators 2026 recruiting class is huge. He's not going to be the last player. Hell, he's not going to be the last running back. Which on a side note, I'm very interested to see with this Florida Gators 2026 recruiting class how many running backs that they take, because I do think that might be wise to take 3 again, just because I do think that natural attrition. Jacoby Jackson to the NFL, maybe a player or two hitting the portal because they realize that they're not going to cut it here, or that there's just better talent there. I'm interested to see what happens with Justin Williams long term, if he might be better suited as a running back long term or a receiver in the slot. It's going to be interesting. Just know Florida Gators added a dog in Carsyn Baker, and I'm very excited to see what happens. We're going to have more live content, I think, this weekend. Just going to tell you that. We're ready for Sunday. Hopefully it's a huge Sunday. Let's get like 7 commits on Sunday. Let's do it. Why not? Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free. Listen to the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back next time to talk more Florida Gators. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, and I'll see you all next time, whenever that may be.